Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and welcome back to another episode in our series on fly casting. Today we've got a very special guest, one of the premier fly fishing guides in the Midwest, Mad River Outfitters guide, Josh McQueen. And Josh, you literally spend time on the water with hundreds and hundreds of anglers each season. What's the number one mistake that you see them make in their fly casting?
Without question, Brian, it's not putting a long enough pause in the back cast.
Yeah.
Simply time and time again, a lot of people come forward too quickly and they don't allow that fly rod to load up, get tension on that fly line, load that rod before they make their forward cast.
You know, when I was much younger, flip pallet, when I would do that, it's also called creep. Not only do they not pause enough, they actually creep forward prematurely. And Flip used to stand behind me and he'd say, Brian, you're making half of a fly cast. And that's what he was talking about. Coming forward too soon, you only make a half of a cast. And if it doesn't straighten out behind you, it's not going to straighten out in front of you.
And I would also add to that, Brian, you know, the pause becomes greater as you make a longer cast.
Yeah,
and so changing that tempo is also important. And I also see a lot of lack there. You know, when you're in tight, you're in close, that pause isn't as long. And as you let out more line, that pause becomes greater. And so that's also missed as well.
Well, fly casting is rhythmic. And the less line you have out, the faster the tempo or the rhythm of the cast is. The longer the line, the slower that rhythm or that tempo is. Exactly what you're saying right there. So let's take a quick second and go out here on the water, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're talking about. You've heard me talk about this before, and this is not the last time you're going to hear me talk about it. But just as Josh said, most people don't wait long enough for that line to straighten out behind them, thus loading the fly rod. Okay? In fact, fly casting should really be called line unrolling. And that's really what needs to happen. If you look behind you, that line must unroll almost completely before you come forward. And what most people do, they don't wait long enough, and that causes a couple of things. Again, if it doesn't straighten out behind you, it's not going to straighten out in front of you. It's going to crash in a big pile. Okay? The other thing, that coming forward too soon or creeping, it causes tailing loops, okay, which then in turn cause wind knots. If you have that leader and the tip of your fly line come under the standing end of the line, that's called a tailing loop, and it's caused by coming forward too soon, and that tailing loop's going to happen almost every time and tie knots in your line. As I said, my great mentor Flip Pallet used to be up on the platform of the boat, and I would creep forward and he would tell me, he said, Brian, you're making half of a fly cast. And I really didn't understand what he was saying, and then he finally explained it to me. If you come forward too soon, you're like a baseball pitcher trying to throw a pitch from here, okay? Of course, you're gonna bounce it to home plate. A baseball pitcher is gonna start from back here at full extension. So big problem, you've gotta pause long enough. One final story, I had a guy in a fly casting class, it's been about 5 or 6 years ago, and he was literally picking up the line and just going like this. And I told him, and we'll call him John, I said, John, you're not stopping. And so he'd go, okay. And he'd go, and I'd say, okay, John, but you didn't stop. Okay, I got it this time. And of course it wouldn't straighten out on him because it didn't straighten out behind him. He didn't let it unroll. And I said, John, you're not stopping. And he looked at me and he said, oh, you mean actually stop? Well, yes. When I say stop here, yes, that does mean stop. It doesn't mean slow down. It doesn't mean yield. It means stop the rod tip and let it unroll. stop the rod tip and let it unroll. If you have to come up with some kind of rhyme or a rhythm, count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 1 1,000, 2 1,000. And just like Josh said, just remember if you have more line out, it might be 1 1,002, 1 1,003, etc., so that rhythm is going to change. Big problem. Make sure you're stopping and pausing long enough for that line to straighten out completely. When it does, it will straighten out in front of you as well. So stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming at you. Be sure to subscribe. That helps us out a lot. And smash that like button. That helps us also. Stay tuned and stay in touch. If you like this video, hit subscribe. It helps out a lot. And check out these videos. We think you might like them too.